Tell me if you've heard this one before. You're getting ready to lead an encounter in a cave. You describe how pitch black and dark everything is and how difficult it is to make out very minute details in the surroundings. And then one by one, you hear the cacophonous chime of, I have dark vision, I have dark vision, dark vision, dark vision, dark vision, dark vision. So yeah, we're all aware of the memes. However, when it actually comes to Darkvision, not a lot of people actually play it the way it's meant to be played. So you see, how Darkvision actually works is you have a radius of how far out you can actually use it. People hear Darkvision and automatically assume it's like black and white TV or night vision and infrared goggles. But Darkvision is literally a range of how far out you can actually see. So now when we're talking about Darkvision, of course, we have to really figure out what exactly light means. So bright light is kind of this de facto term that describes anything that we can very clearly see with. There really aren't too many mechanics that give us disadvantage in regards to being in bright light unless you're a particular kind of enemy creature, because there used to be some stuff for player characters, but they patched that out. But you see, anyways, we got bright light, note that. But then, of course, we also have dim light, and then, of course, just darkness. So here's how Darkvision actually works. So Darkvision treats dim light as bright light, and darkness as dim light. So dim light is an area that is considered lightly obscured. And so for creatures that are in an area that is lightly obscured, it means that they have disadvantage on perception checks that require sight in that area. But so that's the distinction here. You might be thinking, okay, well, Smiles, that's all well and good. I mean, they can still just see. Kind of. Basically, within the radius around them, that's where light is different. But once you step out of that range of Darkvision, everything else is just darkness. So let's say, for instance, if you're a lineage that gives a 120-foot range of Darkvision, you can see within that space as if it was dim light. However, once you get beyond that 120 feet, everything is now just dark. So mind you, it is a very useful thing to remember, and it is honestly a very slept on mechanic as well, because a lot of times when DMs actually make encounters, how many times have you seen a battle map that is more than like 120 feet in any direction? Most battle maps really aren't that far. And of course too, there are a lot of remedies to not have to deal with Darkvision. For example, you can use things like the light spell or even dancing lights and other sorts of things that will give yourself or allies the ability to not be impeded by darkness. There are also a ton, I cannot stress this enough, an absurd number of lineages within the game that do offer Darkvision that would, yes, also kind of make the whole battle map thing that we were discussing before kind of obsolete. But anyways, it is a very important distinction. But now, there are actually a lot of ways that we can abuse Darkvision. So as I was mentioning before, after you're getting out of that range of Darkvision, things out of that range are basically invisible to you, and you are invisible to things outside of their Darkvision range. So basically, if you can have more Darkvision than any other creature around you, it means that you can see them, and they can't see you. And that puts us at an incredible advantage. So when it comes to actually maximizing and weaponizing Darkvision, one of the most important things that we can do is literally being as far out of someone's range of Darkvision and striking from that little pocket as frequently and as efficiently as possible. So let's stack up as many Darkvision based abilities we possibly can and rule out some of the ones that you might even be tempted or tricked into getting. So to get things started, the spell Darkvision. This is not a bad spell. I want to preface that right now. It does what it sounds like. It gives you the ability to have increased Darkvision. However, I will also say that this is a bit of a trap for what we personally are going to be doing. On its own, it is a great spell, and it's great for allies that don't have Darkvision. However, there's a lot more that we can do with Darkvision, so bear with me. Because you see, that's the thing. Darkvision only goes out to 150 feet, and it cannot be extended or reduced. It just says, hey, whatever you had before, it's now superseded by the Darkvision spell, and it's 150 feet. Eldritch Invocation, Devil's Sight. So this one's actually really good. It basically allows you to see in magical and non-magical darkness out to 120 feet. So that alone is really strong, and it's also come up in a lot of different builds. There are tons of people who've slammed this invocation onto their warlocks in conjunction with the darkness spell, and just ran around critting people. It's a great invocation paired with a great spell, and I would highly recommend it. Still not what we're doing for this build though. I just wanted to throw out those 2 honorary mentions, but for the sake of the absurdity of this build, not what we're going for here. So the first thing you'd actually want to get is you want to go Twilight Cleric. So the reason why is you gain this feature called Eyes of the Night. It gives you 300 feet of dark vision. This is the 3rd level feature, and it's basically overkill. As I was mentioning before, most races don't even get like 150 feet of dark vision. Most battle maps aren't even 150 feet out. Having 300 feet of dark vision is absurd. And now we're going to make it more extreme. So moving on to another crowd favorite, we have Gloom, Stalker, Ranger. So at level 3, you also gain another dark vision based ability, Umbral Sight. So this is unique in the sense that it gives you a plus 60 feet of dark vision and also 2 invisibility when in darkness. And so this is a very fun distinction because there are certain abilities within the game that say, hey, you have dark vision out to a range of this many feet. Gloom Stalker, though, is interesting because it says whatever you had before, you have it and then 60 additional feet. So now hypothetically, if you multi-classed from Twilight Cleric into Gloom Stalker Ranger, you now have 360 feet of dark vision. And if you don't exactly get the drift of where we're going, this is kind of the shtick of the whole rest of the video. Shadow Monk, very similarly. At level 3, you get the Warrior of Shadow feature, another plus 60 feet of dark vision, and you gain the Minor Illusion and Darkness spells that you can cast with your focus points. We're now up to 420 feet of dark vision. And now we move on to feats. So we have 2 main ones to discuss here. So Altered from the Legends of Evantris Crooked Moon. This origin feat gives us a few options for mutations of our character that they could have gone through, and gaining 60 feet of dark vision, or plus 30 if you already had it. So you can potentially grab this either a level up, you can grab it via the Eldritch Adept feat too, because you can technically cast spells, so it would count. Or, of course, you could take this as one of your origins, although the distinction between starting a game off and having the dark vision, and then not getting dark vision, and then rewriting it with a 300 feet of dark vision, it's kind of weird. So there are some DMs that would probably say that it would be superseded by the 300 feet from Twilight Cleric, and then you'd have to get it after to count. So just keep that in mind, because the wording with these is really weird, because it basically says if you had dark vision before, it then becomes 300, which is why you'd have to get the Twilight Cleric ability first, and then everything else beyond that is just stacking more dark vision. Now that I've had that little preamble, we move on to Keenness of the Stone Giant as one of our additional feats that we can get that would help us. So this, of course, is another plus 60 feet of dark vision, and you'll probably need to invest in the Strike of the Giants origin or pseudo-origin feat that they had with the background. And of course, this feat is a little more advantageous than just getting dark vision as well. It also gives you the ability to throw rocks, magic rocks. But with all these dark vision features combined, it gives us the ability to have a whopping total of 510 feet of dark vision. And once again, if/when you actually do get to make it, I'd highly recommend building some sort of ranged option. Being able to snipe down an enemy from far away when they don't even really know where you're coming from is a lethal strategy. So grab your longbows, your eagle eyes, and your most absurd dark vision and go get to night hunting. But of course too, even just speccing into a little bit of dark vision can make you very hard to deal with in certain environments. So while the mechanics I've presented here do work with each other, don't feel like you need to stack them all together to be effective. And honestly, on the contrary, if you probably didn't stack them all together, you'd probably be more effective. But for the most part, that is all the time I have today for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then please like, comment, and subscribe for more stuff from yours truly. And in the meantime, keep smiling, keep scheming, and I'll see all of you next time.